What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to my analysis of the Ascended Ced and Rearmed Plumeria banner. So it has been 617 days since Ascended Joshua, and Ascended Ced is our second male Ascended unit. So he's a green infantry mage and he's actually really solid as a nuke, and he does count from both Ratio and Genealogy, so this is pretty helpful for resonant battles, for limited battles, or for using him with Eliers. So he is an amazing AoE nuke, and that's why they show you the AoE special. So he has got the Rearmed Ced as his preferred weapon, which does give him -1 special cooldown. And instead of turn, he gets the visible buff of +6 attack and speed for 1 turn, and also gets -1 special cooldown. So this is not special charges status, this is simply -1 special cooldown at start of turn. So this is pretty good for setting up the AoE special. And then at start of combat, if he's at or above 25% HP, he can get +6 attack and speed in the combat, and also reduce the damage from foe's first attack by 30%. And finally, he deals true damage whenever he triggers his special, and this true damage is going to be dependent on X% of his speed. So the X is calculated depending on the maximum special cooldown count of Ced, multiplied by 10 and then added by 20. So for example, an AoE special like Blazing Wind is going to be at maximum 3 cooldown with this kind of weapon. So it is going to be giving you 50% true damage based on his speed, and that is quite a lot because that is 50% of his speed, and he's going to be really fast. So he's easily one of the best AoE nukes in the game, if not the best one, because of the true damage that he can actually add to his AoE special. And that's why attack speed ideal is a bit odd in his kit, because with the AoE builds, you ideally want to run something like Life and Death 4 or Still Water, just so that you can get the visible attack. So yeah, he is definitely an amazing AoE nuke with this weapon, and he does come with Special Spiral 4 so that he can add even more true damage to that. So he's basically like a modern day Ophelia who is going to be helping you clear a lot of in-game content, do a lot of damage in Aether Raids defense, and also be helpful in Aether Raids offense against many teams. In Summoner Duels, it is going to be a bit competitive with a lot of the nukes that we have, but still he can make use of Guidance 4 and just jump and just nuke something with his AoE special. He also brings the tier 4 version of Infantry Pulse, which can now give something to its user and also support the allies at the same time. So the user of this skill can get Time Pulse 3 and basically get -1 special cooldown. So that is pretty good, and you can also support your allies at start of every turn actually, instead of at start of turn 1 like the regular version of Infantry Pulse. So it is upgraded in that aspect, and if you just have more HP than the other allies, then you can give them -1 special cooldown, which is really good on any kind of nuking team, Gale Force team, and this is especially good on units that want to make use of their special, but also they want to use the high HP to provide the support to their allies. Garrick is easily one of those units who's amazing with his Weapon Refine, and he's going to be loving Infantry Pulse 4, and especially on Gale Force teams where you want to pulse down your infantry allies and bring down the Gale Force cooldown, and also get it at the same time yourself. I think this is going to be amazing there, and I hope that this can be present on a lot more units in the future. So Infantry Pulse 4 is an amazing support skill on any kind of HP stacking unit, because they can themselves get the special cooldown count and also support their allies much better now at start of every turn, instead of just supporting them at start of very first turn. And then we have the other Genealogy units on this banner, and we've got Febail, and he is the son of Bridget and brother of Patty, who is also the instant demote of this batch. And they do, mention Bridget in the description of Patty. So Febail is a blue infantry archer, and he's going to be color sharing with Rearmed Plumeria, and he's actually not bad as a nuke or even as a fodder actually. So he has got Aired Ufel, he is the descendant of Uller and also has the Major Holy Blood. So this gives him -1 special cooldown, and it does provide him with +5 to all of his stats, and gives him even more attack and speed in the combat, depending on 25% of foe's visible attack stat -8, and this can go all the way up to 10, so he can essentially get +15 attack and speed in the combat with this weapon. And he also has the Null Guard effect, or the offensive tempo effect, which allows him to bypass the guard skill of the opponents, which is really good for triggering his specials. And then finally, he can reduce the damage from foe's first attack by 30%, and also heal up 7 HP after the combat. So the healing is pretty nice for the self-sustain. So overall, this is a pretty good weapon offensively and defensively, because it does give him like +15 attack and speed, and also Null Guard, and you also get the damage reduction and healing. And if you're not going to be using him, then he does provide some good fodder, and with physical null follow-up, you can basically have the damage reduction of the enemies, get the null follow-up effect at the same time, and also get the speed and defense debuff on the enemy. So this is an amazing skill for so many of the infantry units. He also has speed resistance hexblade as the slot A skill, which is a bit of a weird skill because you actually want to have extra attack when you're going to be using the hexblade status to do the adaptive damage. And getting the extra resistance doesn't really help you too much offensively because again, you want to have that attack. So I guess if you have extra lapis, then you can fodder her for the sorcery blade and get hexblade, and also get physical null follow-up at the same time if you fodder off Lumeria as well. Physical null follow-up is by far his best fodder, and then we also have the 4-star focus unit of this banner in Fee. So she's the daughter of Arion and little sister of Ced, and Lewin can be her father depending on the game. In Thracia, he is the father, and in Genealogy depends. So keep in mind that she is a Gen 8 sword flyer, and she's going to be having more BST than the other, sword flyers that we have. And she, even though doesn't have a preferred weapon, she can make use of Arcane Devourer, which provides her with a null follow-up and also the damage reduction. And she can like stack up damage reduction with Guard Bearing 4 and also have access to Guidance 4. So that's something decent if you're trying to build her up. But other than that, she doesn't really provide too much, being the Demote unit. And she does have the Protection Edge Plus, which basically gives you the guard effect and +5 attack and defense. It's basically the sword version of Vigard's weapon, and then she's got reposition in Aerobatics 3. I'm pretty happy with Aerobatics in the normal summon pool because we don't really get it in the Grail pool or even in the normal summon pool for the longest time. But I wish that they gave her like a better, slotsy skill than Drive Speed at this point. So that is going to be the Demote of the banner, and then we move on to the main star of the banner in Rearmed Plumeria, and we knew that she was coming because she was in Tempest Trial and we did see her weapon as well, but we didn't really know her preferred dance or the other skills. So Rearmed Plumeria is a blue mage flyer who is a refresher, of course, with her assist, and then she has got Arcane Euphoria as the Arcane Blue Tome, which gives you -1 special cooldown and +5 to all of your stats. It also provides you with the guaranteed follow-up attack, which is going to be useful for the slower mages, and Plumeria herself is pretty slow, and then she can get true damage based on 15% of her own attack, and this also includes the AoE specials. And keep in mind that because of the Tempest Trial, we already have the level 1 stats of Plumeria, so we already know that she's going to be having a super boon in her attack. And finally, you can get 30% damage reduction on foe's first attack. So this is a decent arcane weapon, not the best, but still something for the blue mages, and I'm going to be making an entire video going over the best users of this weapon, so look forward to that. She also has the exclusive assist skill in Glowing Dreams, which is going to be refreshing the target ally and also giving them +5 to all of their stats, the charge status, the foe penalty doubler status, and also debuffing the nearest foes within 5 spaces for -5 to all of their stats. So it's a pretty stacked assist because it can give you the charge status, which is really good for the mobility, and it also gives you the foe penalty doubler effect, which is useful as we have a lot of grand strategy and the debuffs going around. And this is especially so good with her defense res ploy 3 against many of the legendary male Robins. So foe penalty doubler effect is amazing, and it is really good with a lot of the weapons that have effects like the Pelagian effect or the Vulture effect, and they just want to double down on their penalties, so it can actually stack up with those kinds of effects, which is really good. And charge status is going to be giving you that extra movement, but keep in mind that extra movement is basically warping, so it is stopped by Gatekeeper. So that is something you have to keep in mind, but she's very reminiscent of like Legendary Azura so many years back, where she gave the extra movement and the visible buffs. But Plumeria can do even more and also give the foe penalty doubler status and debuff the nearest foes, which is really good. And then she has got Stillwater 4, which can be foddered off along with all of the other skills by using Tea Time Tail 2. She also has Wings of Mercy 4, which we did see on Legendary Hinoka, and this is much better on a rearmed unit because after foddering a rearmed unit, they don't really disappear from your barracks, and Wings of Mercy 4 is an amazing skill on any kind of dancer, on so many of the Gale Force strategies or Wings of Mercy strategies in Aether Raids offense, so it is a really good skill to get from Plumeria. And then she has the tier 4 version of the ploy skills, so ploy skills making their comeback, and we have defense res ploy 3. So this skill actually triggers at sort of both player phase and the enemy phase. So it is similar to Gregor's weapon or Valentine Leo's weapon, and you still have the resistance check that you have to meet for this ploy skill. So if any foes in 3 rows and 3 columns centered on units have less resistance than units resistance +5, then you can inflict -7 defense and resistance debuff on them, the ploy status on them, and also the exposure status. Now exposure status is something that we have seen before on stuff like Duo Thor. This pretty much gives like 10 true damage on the enemy that is affected by the exposure status. And ploy status is something that is new. So ploy status neutralizes bonus doubler status, treachery status, and grand strategy status of Legendary Male Robin that are active on unit during the combat through their next action. So this is pretty huge because this is like a counter to Legendary Male Robin, and I don't think that Legendary Male Robin is going to be completely getting wiped off with this skill alone, but still this is a start where we're going to be seeing the ploy status on preferred weapon of units and on duo buttons and such. And I think this is a lot more meta influential for Aether Raids offense and defense than it is for Summoner Duels, because in Summoner Duels you can pretty much not have the enemy phase or player phase, and it's only going to be triggering at start of each turn. So if they end the action, then they can get rid of the ploy status. So that's why I think that this is going to be a lot more influential for Aether Raids, because you can easily use an Aether Raids defense and prevent the enemies from using a lot of the good support that we have from bonus doubler of Legendary Eliwood and Young Eliwood, and then also grand strategy of Legendary Male Robin. Unfortunately, treachery is hit in the crossfire, which is a bit unfortunate. And you can also use this in Aether Raids offense against the other Legendary Male Robin teams. Obviously, Freyr is going to be able to cleanse this debuff, which is a bit annoying. But as it is, people are not going to be using Legendary Male Robin with Freyr because of his cleansing. So ploy status is really amazing because you're disabling like 3 status effects of the enemies, which is like so good, while also debuffing them and also having the exposure status on them. So basically you're going to be doing even more damage on them, and this could be useful on any kind of unit with high resistance like Plumeria, for example. So you still need to have that resistance for this to work, and you can't just use Phantom Resistance as the Sacred Seal to make sure that this can work better. So ploy skills are much better now with their extra range and also the things that they can provide, and this is the start of countering Legendary Male Robin, because like he is one of the best support units in the game and he's still pretty good, and you can try and avoid the ploy effect from the enemies in Aether Raids offense by just positioning well, unless they have like 2 ploy skills on their team. But yeah, this is again going to be something that we are probably going to be seeing a lot more in the future, just like the stall status, which started out as a slotsy skill. Rearmed Plumeria is going to be providing you with some amazing value with the skills that she brings, because you can fodder her and still use her, and this is going to be really helpful, especially like if you're going ham on this banner or if you're a spender, because you can get multiple copies of Plumeria and just pass off stuff like Guidance 4, Soaring Guidance, and Firestorm Dance along with the other skills. So she's really good as a rearmed unit because of the fodder that she provides, the skills that she can pass on, and also as a unit herself. Her exclusive support is also really amazing for providing the charge status and the foe penalty doubler status at the same time, so you can have the extra movement and also benefit from the debuffs on the enemies. We also have the Grand Tour Battle unit from this badge in Arion, who is a Lance Flyer with a preferred weapon in Gungnir, because we can see that in the sprite, and we don't really know anything about his base kit or what Gungnir does, but I hope it's a good preferred weapon. And he is son of Travant, and Altena is the adoptive sister of Arion. Yeah, families are definitely a bit complex in Yggdrasil. So yeah, I really hope that he has got a good preferred weapon. And that is not the last of this badge, because they didn't really show Patty in the trailer itself, but she is the hero number 1000 in FEH officially, because of her numbering on the Meet the Heroes pages. And she is a 3-star 4-star instant demote, and she's also going to be given out in the quest rewards, so you can get like 2 copies of her at 5-star, which is really good. And she's a colorless infantry dagger, and for her base kit she has got Miasma Dagger Plus as the inhittable dagger, pivot, speed defense ideal 3, and dull ranged. So not the best base kit, and basically Miasma Dagger is just the non-seasonal version of Bone Carver Plus that we had on Desert Dean. So it does give you +5 attack, and if the unit attacked, then you can deal 7 splash damage to the target and foes within 2 spaces of that target. So it's a decent weapon, but there are definitely better inhittable daggers now, and we also are probably going to be getting an arcane dagger. So yeah, that is the hero number 1000 for you, and they're going to be having more events for the milestone, and they're going to be having some quests and also some events. So the celebration login for the 1000 heroes milestone is going to be giving you 100 of each of dragon flowers and 100 trade fruits, which Yeah, I think a 0 is missing because it's clearly 1000 units and not 100 units. And then we also have the double EXP and SP event. So that could be helpful in, just grinding up your units. And they're also going to be giving 10 arena tickets for the Arena Reward 3 banners. So you're going to be able to get 10 5-star units out of these tickets, which is actually pretty nice. And we're also going to be getting a new accessory, which we see on Faye here. And just as a heads up, Patty is going to be available in the 3-star, 4-star pool from the Halloween banner onwards, which is going to be happening next month. So yeah, don't try and plus and merge her on this banner because she's just not going to be showing up. And you can only get 2 copies of her from the quest at the moment. We're going to be getting this banner tomorrow and the Grand Tour battle day after, and we actually have 2 sparks on this banner. And Rearmed Plumeria is definitely one of those rearmed units that you're going to be seeing quite a lot because of the value she provides and because she's available on a sparkable banner, just like Rearmed Tana and Guidance 4. So let me know what you think about this batch in the comment section down below, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more Fae videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Legendary Male Robin after seeing Plumeria. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.